Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to another webinar with TradeZero. Today, we're going to talk about beep, boop, bop, bop is what I like to call it. It's basically Mark's favorite topic, and we're going to nerd out because we're going to talk about APIs. He talked about MPIs and all this other stuff. I don't know, he's going to nerd out with us today here. But Mark, how you doing, man?
How's it going? What's up, guys? Good to be back.
And then, of course, we're also joined with Dan Pipitone. Dan, are you a big API guy? Are you a big beep, boop, bop, bop guy or no?
I'm starting to be. You know, we had a hackathon within the company a couple months ago, and it was really my first foray into kind of leveraging this stuff and working with it, using AI. And I'm a believer. I mean, what we were able to do, even from a non-developer standpoint, harnessing the power of AI and leveraging our APIs to build cool things around trading, around locate sourcing, and the like, and you know, as Mark is going to really dive in on this with us today, I think, you know, it's one thing for someone to explain something to you, but it's a whole other thing to actually be shown what to do and how to do it. And I think folks who are watching and with us today are going to get a lot of value out of the walkthrough and the presentation that we're about to do.
Yeah, I definitely love the API. I had a trading strategy where as soon as something was posted on socials, I would go in, type the ticker, try to buy it. But by that time, it would already go away, right? And I think that's where the APIs and having a game plan kind of help out. Sure. Speaking of trading strategies, let's just quickly give you the disclaimer. Anything that I talk about, Dan talks about, Mark talks about, it's educational and entertainment purposes only. Please do your own due diligence for your hard-earned money. Mark, I think you've been waiting for about 3 months since we started doing webinars for this topic. So are you ready to go?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Tell us what we're going to look at.
All right. So first of all, guys, real quick, just going to preface this with saying that this is sort of targeted towards the more beginner-friendly approach. We're looking for guys who have thought about API, who sort of know what APIs are, but haven't necessarily ever taken the plunge and really jumped in there and tried it themselves, right? So if you have worked with APIs in the past and you've sort of done this before, you'll most likely be fully aware of everything I'm going to talk about today. Still plenty to learn, but I just wanted to call that out very quickly. So one thing I want to make note of is right now, through your regular TradeZero platforms, the ZeroPros, the TZ1s, the ZeroFrees, Zero Mobile, you are sending instructions to TradeZero in the form of button presses, right? So you're clicking things, you're entering hotkeys. Those are being translated over to, API readable JSON and being sent to our servers, where it's then returned back to you in the form of a response, right? Or what we call an execution report. What we are now doing at TradeZero is we're making all of these APIs that power our existing platforms available to you guys in a way that's safe for you guys, safe for us, and allows you to create your own workflows, et cetera, et cetera. So if we jump over to the next slide. So one thing I want to just brush over very quickly, not necessarily saying that this is something you have to have a deep understanding of, but it's very good to know sort of how it works at a high level. When you send an order through one of our platforms, that order is translated into a request. That request looks like what you can see on the left side of your screen right there, the request body. That request body is then sent over API to an endpoint. And that endpoint then is hit, and you can then go ahead and see a response that comes back from that endpoint. But between the request and the response, what you'll see is, what you won't see, what happens in the background are a few things, right? We authenticate your account, make sure you are permissioned to send that request in the first place. Make sure it's your account, the keys are correct, the secret key is correct, and the account ID is correct, so that we don't have any unwanted usage of the APIs on your accounts. That then goes to the same order server, the same risk checks, the same backend as all of the orders that go from ZeroPro, from TZ1, from ZeroFree, from mobile, and it's checked there. Within routes, the same way we always route. There's no difference in the way that ZeroPro routes an order to the venues and to the market versus the way that API would route the same order. And after all that's done, you then go back and you in your interface or your system will receive a response, And that response will then look something like the JSON on the right. And we'll go into more detail on how that looks in the actual demo itself. But if we move on to the next slide. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to jump into the client portal, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can go ahead and obtain your API keys. So if I go over here, and right now I'm hitting portal.tradezero.com, I'm going to go ahead and search for my paper account. So TZP, whereabouts are you? Let's find it. Here it is. So here's a paper account for you guys. So API is enabled on both paper and live. You just need to get yourself 2 separate API keys, right? Or 2 sets of API keys. So I'm in the paper portal right now, and we always recommend, if you're going to mess with the APIs, if you're going to get into API trading, please, please, please begin with API trading on paper. And once you've proved your workflows are working for you, no bugs, no issues, you can then very easily switch your keys and make it into a live workflow. But I'll show you more about that in just a second. So on the top right, you'll see Enable API Trading. You'll see our API agreement. Read through that and go ahead and sign it. I believe there's some checkboxes for me, or maybe not. Should be fine. Submit. There we go. Continue. Boom, you are brought to the API key management page. On this page, you will be able to generate your API keys from scratch. You'll be able to also disable those API keys and completely get rid of them, or you'll be able to regenerate the secret key and keep the public key. All right, so here's the endpoint that you'll be hitting. We'll be talking more about that in a second. There is an audit trail, and every single time you do anything related to your API keys, disabling, regenerating, generating them in the first place, you will receive an email. And that email will state, hey, if there's anything that's looking dodgy about this, if you did not request API key access, please contact our support representatives. So rest assured, your account is safe, regardless of whether you have API enabled or not. That is the paper flow. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to log out of my paper account. I'm going to log into a live account right here. So we'll go with this account right here. Now this will be the experience you all know and are used to. But if I go ahead and press trade, and then I go to platform selection, the reason I need to do this is because if I hover over API keys, you can see here that it tells me I need to go to platform selection because I haven't enabled API trading on my account yet. So platform selection, I'm going to go ahead and select a platform pack. I can select either pro bundle or free bundle. So in this case, I'm going to select the free bundle. Why not? And I'm going to enable API trading. API trading is completely separate to the pro bundle and the free bundle. You can enable it whether you have one or the other. So you just need to pick one of them and enable it. There we go. Press next. And it's going to ask you to sign an API agreement. Once you've signed that, you then press submit. And there we go. Go home. And now you can see my API keys are available. And just like with paper, all I have to do is press generate keys. As you can see, this account has been used many times to test API keys. But in this case, I can generate the keys. I can regenerate the secret key like this. It regenerates, and then I can go ahead and disable the API key pair completely. All right, so let's move on to the documentation. So we're going to come back to this in a moment, but once you've got those keys, what you can do is you can go ahead and let me just real quick grab some keys again, sign out of this. I'm going to jump over to my paper account real quick for you guys. Here we go. And I'm going to go to API keys. I'm going to just move this off the screen just so that we don't expose anything. Regenerate. Here we go. Now, once I'm in my my developer.tradezero.com site over here, you'll see that you'll be presented with the homepage. You have documentation, API reference, recipes, changelog, etc. If I jump into the documentation, you'll see that we have comprehensive documentation around every single one of the endpoints and every single one of the recipes that you have here in the API docs. So rate limiting, the trading API, your short locates, equity trading, options trading, etc., etc. I'm not going to go through all this today. Please feel free to take a look at developer.tradezero.com. It is worth noting that for TradeZero International, TradeZero Europe, and TradeZero America, API trading is available. For TradeZero Canada, it's coming very soon. So if you do log into this web or open this website from Canada, you will see a small warning which just tells you that we are coming soon to Canada, and you can sign up for updates via the platform itself. So moving on, here's your API reference page. We have on the left a number of endpoints, and we're going to be going through these in some detail later on. But the general layout of this page is that you have the request parameters, you have your response parameters, and on the right side of the screen, you can go ahead and test the actual keys themselves. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the public key, place it in here, copy my secret key, place it in here. Oops, sorry. And I'm going to enter the account ID over here. If I just grab that real quick, send API request, and boom, just like that, I get actual responses or an actual response from the TradeZero API itself. And this is returning me account details for this specific account. If I was to put in the wrong account ID, I'd get no result. If I would put in the wrong secret, no result. Same thing with public key, no result. So all of these three things have to be perfect in order for me to go ahead and get a result back from the API itself. Moving on, we have recipes. So if you're looking for a quick place to start, something that would give you a quick understanding of how the APIs work, how you should write your code, etc., etc. Maybe you're not necessarily using AI and you're trying to handwrite the code. You can jump into one of these recipes, click place your first order, and this will walk you through some actual tested real code, which shows you exactly how you can go ahead and place your first order. Now, there are about 30 recipes across the board here, and you can go ahead and use this as a quick start. And once you're set up and you're looking good and you're feeling good about your systems and the recipes themselves, you can then start modifying things to be more to your liking. We also have the change log, and this tells you the breaking changes, any changes in general, and so we like to keep this up to date. And if you click this key right here, you'll see a full page on authentication, which will tell you exactly how to get your API keys, just like I've done so a couple of minutes ago. But that is going to be that for the authentication side of things. So if we jump back over to the PowerPoint, let's go ahead and do that. Beautiful. All right. So one thing worth noting, and I've said this already, but I want to just stress it again. API trading is simply just another gateway to the same exact engine that sits behind ZeroPro, behind the various platforms that we already have. Okay, so what you can do is you can send an order over API and look at your ZeroPro. The order will appear. In open positions, in a closed positions tab, everything is one-to-one. Nothing is delayed. Everything is shared between our platforms and our APIs. It's just simply another way of accessing the same systems that you know and love. Next slide. All right, so built for one job and it does it well. So what can you do with the trading APIs? We'll cover this again in more detail in the demo, but you can place your orders, manage those orders, read your account, balances, buying power, positions, P&L, etc. Run full end-to-end short locates workflows, which I know Dan is excited to show you guys later on in the demo. Stream real-time P&L, fills, orders, etc. Through our WebSocket solutions, etc., etc. And there's a few other items to show you later on. What you cannot do, and we want to be very clear about what you can't do at this moment in time over API. You cannot currently obtain market data, so that's quotes, charts, price history, anything like that through our APIs. We are bringing a market data API to the market very soon, but that is not yet available. So we'll talk more about what you can do in place of that. Account admin, so deposits, withdrawals, all the broker API type of items we do not have available yet over our offering. Again, coming very soon, and is something we're pushing pretty hard on together with the market data API, and building for others. So we have a separate process in place at TradeZero. If you have some sort of third-party platform which is capable of research, of charting, etc., and you would like to add TradeZero execution capabilities to your platform, that's a whole separate flow. That's called the OAuth 2 flow. And please contact us if you'd like to look into that. And that would allow other users to use your platform and connect their own TradeZero accounts in a secure way. But the trading APIs themselves, TradeZero Developer, is targeted towards single developers for personal use, your account with your code. But cool. All right. The APIs. So we've spoken about this slightly. So accounts, orders, positions, and locates. Those are the 4 buckets which we like to place our endpoints into. And on the right side, you can see we have streams. And so by streams, we're talking about WebSockets. The difference between polling on REST APIs versus streaming through WebSocket APIs, we will come back to. But the general consensus or the idea is that when you hit a REST API, you ask a question, it gives you an answer, and that's it. If you want another answer or an update, you need to ask the question again. If you are using our WebSocket streams, you don't need to continually ask the question, right? It's pushing updates to you as and when they happen. So that's the general flow of our APIs. Moving on. So million workflows that you could have in place with the APIs that we offer you guys. The possibilities are really endless, especially when you bring your own data and you offer your own market data, or you bring in third-party sets of data, which TradeZero may not necessarily have, but you have fundamental data, etc., or even short locate data, short interest data, for example. What you're able to do is we offer the execution, and how you get to that execution and how you actually define the logic around executing trades, that's all with you, right? So you can build P&L dashboards, you can build short workflows. For example, you might have a very specific strategy in which you want to prefetch your locates, and prefetching the locates is determined by some sort of logic on your end, and shorting in one motion without having to go manually find locates every single time. Your systems would be able to perform things like that. Custom order tickets, stocks and options. So when we say we can trade over API, we're talking everything you can trade over current TradeZero platforms, equities, single legs, multi-legs, etc. You can do all the same stuff through API. And you can build alerts. So one of the biggest things at TradeZero we hear requests for are alerts. That's coming very soon, but until that comes, you can go ahead and build your own alerting systems using the trading APIs. All right, moving on. So cool. We are going to get to building something now. We're gonna go ahead and jump into a live demo of how you can build things with our APIs. We're going to build a very simple platform that's sort of very similar to TZ1. If you guys know or have used TZ1, it's going to look very similar, and we're going to show you how you can build that from scratch. The tools I'll be using today: number 1, Cursor for the actual writing of the code. I'll be using Claude, or I have used Claude for the creation of the prompts, etc. And in terms of the actual engine itself, of course, we'll be using the trading API from TradeZero. The 4 things to keep in mind are: number 1, please always test on paper first. Do not hook up your live account or live credentials until you're happy with the flows. Of course, you are responsible for your own code. And if anything does go wrong, of course, our team's always here to help you and on hand. But we prefer that you test on paper first, and then once you've gained some confidence, move into the more live side of things. The only thing that's not available right now on paper, but is available on live accounts, is the ability to locate shares. So that's coming very soon for paper. You will be able to locate shares and test your locate workflows on paper accounts, but for the time being, locates is live only. Next up, AI code is a starting point, not a finished product. So again, vibe coding is a very hot thing these days, and what you're about to see is fully vibe coded by myself. And this lesson also applies to me. When you are vibe coding or using AI to write code in any capacity, it must be checked over, and you have to understand what it's generating, not just sort of sending things just because it's generated it for you. You are responsible for your own code. I've mentioned this, and start small, then scale. Implement the APIs, test them out on a small scale basis, and then you can go ahead and expand your workflows, add logic, etc., etc. All right, moving on. Right, so the way this demo is going to function is we have a set of 9 steps that you can take in order to fully hook up any system, any platform to our APIs with the help of AI. The platform itself is going to start off blank. I'm going to show you that in just a second. It's going to be completely blank. I've already completed the UI side of things just because we can't really spend all day on this. It's a 1 hour webinar after all, but we're going to show you guys a blank platform, and one by one we're going to add the endpoints in. So for example, the locates window might require 5 different endpoints to fully power it, and I'm going to show you myself doing that in real time. And once we've done that, the right side of the screen will show you the API traffic. We'll be able to see the actual requests and the actual responses going in and out of the platform when it comes to hooking up these APIs. Cool. All right. So I'm just going to real quick share my screen now and take you over to the API demo platform itself. So this is the platform. This is the UI that has been created. Nothing has been hooked up. This is completely from scratch. And all we have is blank screens. Okay. So on the left, you can see my nice little checklist here. So first off, we're going to authenticate. Then we're going to hook up some market data from a third-party provider. Then we're going to go ahead and load the account, etc., etc., etc. As you can see here, very similar looking to TZ1. We've got the account and P&L window up top. We've got a chart, which I must stress again, the market data is powered via third-party market data solutions. We don't endorse specific third-party market data solutions for the time being. We just ask that you do your own research, and there's plenty out there. Take a look, and you'll find a lot of pretty decent ones out there. Stock order ticket, so locates, options order ticket, options chain, positions, and orders. So those are the windows we're going to hook up today over the next, hopefully, 30 minutes. And just as a quick reminder, if you look at this locates window right here, the locates window will not function in our demo until we've hooked up each one of these endpoints. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can do that one by one. And so you can see here, for example, if you wanted to go ahead and credit back your locate, which is a capability here at TradeZero, you wouldn't be able to do so until you've hooked up this endpoint here. Now, if you want to find more information about this endpoint here, all you have to do, go to our documentation, go to locates in the documentation tab, and this will give you a full end-to-end flow of exactly how our locates work of API. I'm not going to go through all this. I'm going to be honest. I usually just throw it all into AI and it does it for me. So that seems to be the way things are going these days. If you would like to learn more about the locates, feel free to jump in here, understand the different locate types, understand the different codes that are returned against each individual locate type, etc., etc. We don't just explain the actual API side of things. We also explain things like what is a single-use locate, right? So, for example, a single-use only locate can be used against reg show threshold securities, whereas a regular code 102 locate can be used against any hard-to-borrow security. So all that information is in here. It is a gold mine for anyone who wants to take this seriously. Please take a look. And if you have any feedback, always feel free to let us know. We do also have a live chat in the bottom right, and we have the ability to send the current page directly to your AI LLM of choice. But cool, heading back to the demo. Let's get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead here and click authenticate. Now, authenticate is going to be done via one of these endpoints, and it's basically proving that we authenticated by hitting the list user accounts endpoint. And I'll show you that now. So I'm going to copy the prompt, right? So this is pre-configured just to save us some time on the demo. I'm going to open Cursor. Okay, so let's take a quick look at Cursor. So on the left, you can see I have my project. These are the files that exist within the project. In the middle, you see I have the trading API file open. And on the right side of things, I have a chat with Cursor. All I've said, the only history in the chat is I'm running the API demo. Are you ready? So it's conscious that there's an API demo going on, and I'm going to go ahead and paste in the prompt. And the prompt is simply going to be a boilerplate type prompt where all of the prompts we send to Cursor will look very similar. The only differences will be the question we ask. So in this case, we're asking to prove that the TradeZero API keys actually work. We're then going to call this endpoint, and we're going to give the documentation directly to Cursor, right? So the docs are publicly available. They're not behind any logins. You don't need to have any special access. no VPNs. You simply just open the link. So that means Cursor, any LLM, Claude, ChatGPT, OpenAI, they can pretty easily access these links. I've included the actual endpoint itself, and I've also included the headers right here. So the API key and the secret key. And I've also included another link to the API key doc themselves. But again, honestly, all you need to do is send the URL to developer.tradezero.com, and Cursor should really do the rest. We're breaking it down on purpose for you guys, just so you can see how things work one by one. So let's send that. Now, whilst that's working, let's go ahead and jump over to the PowerPoint slide. And we're going to, give me a second here. I am lost. Hold on.
See, I told you. It happens.
I'm back.
You're on the,
I'm back.
you're
I'm
good?
back.
Okay.
We're back. All right, I'm good. I'm sorry. I'm back. All right, we're good. I've got 6 screens in front of me. All right. So whilst that's working, whilst Cursor's doing its job, let's take a look at what does it mean when we say prove your API keys work? Every single request you send via our APIs, you are sending 3 things. You are or 4 things. The first thing you're sending is your account ID. The second thing you're sending is your public key. The third thing you're sending is your secret key. The fourth thing you're sending is any parameters that are relevant to the endpoint you're hitting. Okay, so in this case, with accounts, there are no real parameters. All you have to do is send your API keys and your account ID, and you're done, right? Whereas if you're hitting the orders endpoint, for example, to create an order, you would need to send things like the symbol, the limit price, etc., right? So those are the 4 things that we send when we are going ahead and sending requests to TradeZero. But let's go ahead and jump straight back to Cursor now. And as you can see, Cursor has gone ahead and completed it. It's written 9 lines and removed 2. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the demo here, press run step, and boom, there it is. We made a call to an API. The call we've made is to the list accounts API. This is on a paper account. So you can see here, the account ID is there, account status, account type, etc. All the information relevant to the account is there, which proves to me I am now authenticated. I'm good to go. All right. The next step I'm going to take is I'm going to go ahead and connect market data. So I've already hooked up the market data in the background. Again, feel free to read this if you like, but bottom line is TradeZero do not provide market data at this moment in time. We'll be coming out very soon with our market data API, but for the time being, please find a third-party market data provider, and you should be all good and all set there. So I'm going to press mark ready. And if we just jump over to the PowerPoint slide now, real quick. Here we go. So like I said, the trading API provides orders, accounts, positions, locates, etc. All of the execution behavior. Your own market data provider will be able to provide things like charts, live quotes, options chains, price history, and anything else that you may need in order to power your own workflows. The only thing I will call out from this slide is we are using Data Bento for our demo. We do not endorse, and we're not affiliated with any third-party market data providers, but this demo is powered by Data Bento themselves. All right, back to our demo. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click Load Account, which is our next item on the list. Now, if I open this up, you'll see that there's 2 endpoints which appear under Load Account. The first endpoint is Retrieve Account Details, and the second endpoint is to retrieve account values and profit and loss. So let's go ahead and copy the prompt, just like we did before. Let's go ahead, go to Cursor, paste that into Cursor itself, and hit enter. Very similar prompt. Can you load my account balances and P&L next, etc., etc. It gives it the link, it gives it some endpoints, and we're done. All right. So if we just jump over to the PowerPoint real quick. Here we go. And we jump over to the next slide. All right, so know where you stand. You got to know what your account state is, and you also have to know your current P&L. Now, the account state side of things, you're going to be seeing things like your equity, your available cash, your account type, your account status. These are account level values, okay? The other side of things is your P&L. Your P&L values are your values for your overall P&L. So, for example, day P&L, day unrealized, day realized. And then on top of that, we also have the ability to see individual position-based P&L. So your position in Apple, what's your realized profit? What's your unrealized profit? And we'll take a look at that right now. So if we jump back over to the demo, I'm going to go ahead and press run setup, run step here. And it's going to trigger those endpoints to actually flow into the platform. So run step. There we go. You see, I've got 2 endpoints that I've just run. And at the top of the screen, my account and P&L window just populated. Now, we could go into this and look at these at a very granular level, but I'll just press deep dive in the top right. On this paper account, I'm currently down $7 realized, and I'm up $81 unrealized for a day P&L of $73. I'm going to go ahead and show you actually in ZeroPro, this window right here, the values are all matching, 745, 745, and the day unrealized, that is not ticking, right? Now you're going to ask me, why is that not ticking? Why is it not matching? That's because we're currently snapshotting. Do you remember how I told you guys about the polling versus streaming? Where if you poll, you're asking for information every time. You have to specifically send a request, and we'll send you a reply. With WebSockets, which we'll do towards the end of this demo, so step 7, that's when things start streaming and updating in real time. So we'll come back to that in just a moment now. Cool. So let's head over to the next one here. So load positions. These are going to be, again, 2 endpoints, and these 2 endpoints are made up of the open positions endpoint, which shows you your current open positions, and the closed positions endpoint, which shows you your closed positions. Let's go ahead and copy this prompt again, one by one, sending it into Cursor. I'm going to go ahead and ask Cursor to implement those 2 endpoints by providing it the link and also the endpoints themselves. And we're going to jump straight back to the PowerPoint real quick to review those endpoints. All right, so on the left, you see we have the open positions endpoint. This endpoint shows you things like the symbol, the side, the shares, the average price, the security type, your position ID, etc., of your open positions. And on the other side of things, we have the closed positions endpoint. That shows you positions that you've taken from open back to flat over the course of the day. Symbol, side, realized, shares in, shares out, etc., There's a number of other responses that returned, or line items in the response JSON, but we will review that in just a second. It's important to understand that as soon as we run this, that's when the positions panel will fill. So if I just jump back to the demo real quick, that's now run. Cursor has now completed that step, 20 lines of code. And I'm going to go ahead now and press run step. It makes 2 calls. It makes a call to get positions, which is my open positions, and it makes a call to get closed positions. If I scroll down now to the positions tab, you can see that on my paper account, I currently have 100 shares of Apple, 100 shares of Nvidia, and 100 shares of PayPal. How did it do this though? Let's have a look. Let's deep dive. Here is a little deep dive into which endpoints were called in order to populate that window. The first endpoint was the open positions endpoint right here, and it made this request. Now, this isn't necessarily the best request in the world because there's no real parameters. It's just your account, the endpoint, the API keys, and you get back the results for your open positions. So there we go. You can see I'm currently holding Apple, as you can see there. And then we have, what's this one? This one is, sorry, yep, Apple. And then you have, what else we got? Nvidia, etc. So we'll leave that for now. Closed positions. Let's take a look at this. Closed positions, as you can see, right there, we're being returned our closed positions after we hit this endpoint. And it's a similar story. You get back nodes which show you the various closed positions that you have. Okay, and that will all match up to my closed positions tab here. So I've closed out positions in Nvidia and Apple today over the past few hours in preparation for the demo. And I lost a couple cents in some of the trades, with my biggest win being $11 on Nvidia short. All right, cool. So moving on. Placing an order. So this is the spiciest endpoint daisy chaining that we do. All right. So when I say daisy chaining, I'm essentially saying that to place an order, technically there is one singular endpoint which allows you to place the order, which is this order right here. Sorry, this endpoint right here, your create order endpoint, right? However, in order to facilitate the sending off that order, we have a few other endpoints which can help you send the order. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. But let me go ahead and copy the prompt. Let's go to cursor. Let's paste that straight into cursor. You get the deal. Link, the endpoints, and an instruction. All right. And we're going to jump straight back to our presentation real quick to take a look at the next slide over here. Boom. All right. If you can go back a slide, please, Mr. Zanaid. Give me a second here. Oops. Here we go. Place trade. Oh, place trade 15. Next one. Yep, there we go. All right. Placing a trade. Beautiful. So we have that list of endpoints. And I spoke about daisy chaining. Okay. So placing an order is the third node on this sort of timeline here. So the first one is getting your routes, right? So you can't really place your order without knowing your routes. For the most part, you guys will be using smart routing, and so you'll just select smart. But for those of you who may want to go direct routing and pick your routes, of course, you will need to pick that route first before you then move on to placing an order. So first endpoint we call is your routes endpoint, and that is available in the developer documentation, and you can review that now. The next thing we do is we check the borrow status, right? So is it easy to borrow? Is it hard to borrow? Etc. etc. If it's easy to borrow, you'll be returned a flag that is true. If it's hard to borrow, the flag will be set to false. Now, if you're going long and long only, that doesn't really matter to you. But if you're going short, of course, you need to know whether you need borrows or not so that you can go ahead and grab some locates. The third thing you do is you place the order. So we'll show you that in a second and all the parameters around how you place that order. And the fourth item in the list is you confirm that you've sent the order, right? So you've placed the order. Has it been executed, yes or no? So you can confirm it by checking that client order ID and checking the status. Once you know more, you can then go ahead and refresh your orders to then see the order status itself. And then you can go ahead and refresh your positions to make sure that once you've entered the position, your positions window or your positions workflow is fully up to date. Now there are some caveats around, when you press buy, when you send a buy side, you need to be telling us whether you want it to be a opening buy or a closing buy, because of course we cover both sides of things, right? We cover shorting, we cover long, and if you want to cover your position, that would then be a buy close. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a second, but again, all our documentation covers everything we've spoken about today in great detail. So if we head back to the demo real quick, you'll see that now I can run the step, and if I just show you the next part of this, what we've done is we've placed an order now for 1 share of Apple just to test the actual endpoints themselves. But to prove it, let's go ahead and let's buy some, I don't know, what should we buy? Should we buy some SpaceX? Let's go SPCX. It's detected as easy to borrow. I'm going to mark it by 50. It is a paper account after all. Executed, order filled. And if I check my positions now, SPCX right there. Okay, but let's talk about the steps that we went through just there. Let's deep dive. So we spoke about this daisy chaining first. And by the way, these are real requests and responses from that actual order on SpaceX. And you'll see that in just a second. Load your routes. We have our routes, and we have our order types, etc. Okay, this gives you all the information you need to populate your order ticket. Then we check the easy to borrow. Is it easy to borrow? In this case, it is easy to borrow. Then we place the order. Stock, SPCX, buy to open, 50 shares, market, day, here's a client order ID, and the route is smart. Like I said, most of you will be going smart all the time. The response, we say we get a response back from the server acknowledging the fact that we sent the order. Then we confirm the order. Then we refresh our orders. And then we refresh our positions. Okay, that is the flow that you can use in order to go ahead and send orders via your own systems. And again, everyone will have a different workflow. This is simply just the workflow that I put in place for this demo. You are fully free to play with the APIs, mess around with them, see what works for you, and do exactly that. All right. So next up, we're going to go ahead and load history. So I'm going to press copy prompt. We're going to jump into here, send this, and let's jump back over to our slides now. All right, looking back at your fills. So the history endpoints, we'll cover this very quickly. I'm conscious of time. We want to get to some questions. But we have two endpoints here. The retrieve historical orders will essentially give you your orders that you've sent up to 1 week back. And that's things like trade ID, symbol, quantity, price, etc., etc. And we have a very similar endpoint, which is orders with pagination, which allows you to essentially page through your orders. This one doesn't work with paper accounts. It only works with live accounts. But the first one you can see on your screen there, historical orders, that works with both paper and live. But that is that. So if we jump straight back over to our demo, you can see now, if I press run step, there it is. We make two calls, get order history and get fill history. Get order history returned null for my paper account, and get fill history gives me some results for this account. If I switch over to my live account real quick, you'll see that we actually get a lot more results for the fills because of what I mentioned around get order history and get fill history. So in this case, I'm on my live account now, and I have fills in SMCI, BB, SMCI, etc., etc. From the past. I also have my history from today, and I have 0 working orders right now. Moving on. Here we go, connecting your WebSockets. So this is where we connect up our portfolio WebSocket and our P&L WebSocket. The portfolio WebSocket we'll go into detail in a moment, as well as the P&L WebSocket. But let's first just get cursor working. I don't want to make you guys watch cursor do its thing, but let's head straight back to our presentation. All right, so stop asking, start listening. So I've mentioned this in the demo already, but when you are polling REST endpoints, which we are currently doing on the platform right now on the demo, before having implemented the WebSockets, we are having to make a request to TradeZero servers every single time we want an update. If I want to check whether the positions have updated, I have to request it, right? And you can technically every 5 seconds or every few seconds make a request to TradeZero servers, have them return a response to you with the updated positions, and you're good to go, right? But that's annoying, and it puts load on your servers, your systems. It puts load on our servers. So what we've done is we've developed the WebSocket APIs, and the WebSockets are split into two. The first WebSocket we have is the portfolio WebSocket. This is the portfolio stream. This will stream and push updates regarding orders, positions, fills, cancellations, rejections, etc., as and when they happen. If nothing happens, nothing comes through. As soon as something happens, an order is executed, for example, you'll get an update automatically in your systems as long as you've authenticated against the WebSocket APIs and you are listening. That's the word. Listening is the word. And on the other side of things, we have the P&L WebSocket. This is the P&L stream, which will stream account value level and per position level P&L back to you over stream. Okay, so as soon as things happen with pricing, with your P&L, etc., you will receive an update in the form of a WebSocket stream. All right, so we jump straight back over to the demo. You'll see that now I can run the step, and it's important to note that before I run the step, account P&L is showing snapshot. Snapshot essentially means we made the call one time, we haven't made the call again. Okay, so now when I press run step, it makes the connection with our WebSockets. So you can see here connecting and connecting here as well. And we've got 2 more updates now, connected. Okay, so now we're connected and we're subscribing to orders and positions on the portfolio stream. And on the P&L stream, we are subscribing to the P&L and it is connected here. Now my account and P&L is live. It's ticking. All right. So all these values will be updating in real time without me having to continuously use use the REST APIs at TradeZero and hitting them every few seconds. Okay. So now it's all streaming straight through. Similar story for your positions and your orders. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll open up a position now in I don't know, we'll go Apple, why not? And we're going to buy 5 shares at market, buy. There we go. See how instantly that was instant? That was instant. It updated my positions immediately because this is now live. It's no longer having to poll every 5 seconds. Okay, so again, you can see here, if I show you the deep dive, these are the actual calls that were being made. And this is now the new portfolio stream, streaming positions directly into my system. Okay. All right. Moving on. We have one of the last items, which is short locates. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the prompt. Again, this is a daisy chaining situation where we have multiple endpoints, which together will work and allow you to locate shares in specific symbols. And together, when you put the workflow side by side, you'll see how each endpoint feeds into the next endpoint, right? And we'll show you exactly how that works in a second. But let me go ahead and give Cursor the prompt. And let's jump straight back over to the PowerPoint where Dan is going to give you guys an intro into how this works.
Great, thanks, Mark. What an education, man! It's really my first use case of the APIs was, like you said, just dumping it all into Cursor, having it figure it all out. But being able to see behind the scenes kind of what's happening, I think really makes it a lot more clear as to what you're doing and what you're working with, as well as getting an education on how this stuff works. So very cool, and thank you. As it relates to short selling, so it's one of our sweet spots at TradeZero. The all of the short selling facilitation that is available on our front end platforms is now available programmatically. So everything from finding out if a stock is easy to borrow or a locate is required, up on through sourcing 3 different types of locates programmatically, typical regular locates that you can reapply with multiple short covers. You have your single use locates for your thresholds, which can only be used once, and your pre-borrows, which on your threshold securities allows you to recycle with multiple short covers on the threshold securities when you source a pre-borrow. So by doing that and finding out a stock is locate required, you then can interact with the various endpoints that are involved with short selling. So the post locates quote, that's going to give you the price, review the offer, get locates history, and then giving you the opportunity to then accept if you like the price. And that's using the post locates accept prompt endpoint. And then checking your inventory to make sure that you actually have the locate on the get locates inventory. Now we move out of the locates flow and we're talking about initiating an order. And so using the orders as Mark described with the opening and closing denotation on whether you're opening a position or closing it, you can then go about shorting the stock and then covering it. And assuming that you are done for the day or done for, with that stock for the day at least, you then have the opportunity to sell that locate back or that pre-borrow or an unused short or an unused single-use locate back to the next TradeZero customer that wishes to short those shares. And that's using the post locates exit call. So this is really cool because programmatically it allows you to not just handle one at a time, but you can actually be pinging the locate service with multiple symbols, or maybe those symbols are a result of your doing a scan of your market data provider and then dumping those into your API call to then go out and retrieve multiple prices, and then assuming some of those meet your criteria, actually go in and execute on sourcing the locate and then facilitating the short sell. So yeah, it's very powerful stuff. And I think in terms of like an API and an offering from a broker dealer, I know that we are one of the few that is offering the ability to source, price, execute on, and obviously very uniquely mark for credit or sell back the locates that you no longer need and use, and doing that all programmatically.
Beautiful. All right. So if we just jump straight back over to the platform, we have one more thing to show in the demo, and then we're going to head to questions. So thank you, Dan. So as you can see now, after having asked Cursor to go ahead and implement the endpoints for locates, it has done so. And in my inventory, I already have a BlackBerry or 100 BlackBerries, but 100 BlackBerry locates. If I go ahead now and search for, I don't know, let's locate something like Arnes. I quite like Arnes. It tells me I need locates. How does it know that? We'll come to that in just a second. I'm going to press locate 100 Arnes. I'm hoping this is cheap. It's cheap. All right. Of course it is. Accept. There we go. I've accepted the locates. It now gives me my my inventory here, which is great. I've got my history. So I've located, I've tried to locate Apple, wasn't able to because it's easy to borrow. I located BlackBerry and I've located Arnes. Okay. So let's look at the actual endpoints. So deep diving into this, the first thing we did was we went ahead and requested a quote for Arnes. Okay, so here we hit this endpoint, the quotes endpoint. We sent the account ID, the symbol, the number of locates we want, and a quote request ID, and we were sent a response saying locate quote sent true, which means TradeZero was able to give me a quote, right? So now, what you could have done is you could have cancelled that quote and then quoted it again, but we didn't do that. So let's skip through. Then what you can do is you can hit this endpoint, locates accept, and you get to go ahead and accept the actual endpoint, the actual quote itself. And once you've done that, you can look at your inventory, and you can populate the inventory on your in your system with the results of this endpoint here. And once you've done that, you can also look at your history by hitting this endpoint here. If you wanted to sell it back, what we can do now, right now, you can see that there's no request or response on the sellback because we haven't done it yet. So let's try it. Let's go here. Let's press sell back BlackBerry, and let's sell back Arnes as well. Cool. They're now unavailable to me because I've sold them back. So if I go to deep dive now, scroll to the bottom, just like I said, because we now have tried and sent those requests, this is the endpoint you hit to sell back or credit back. Locate sell, account, symbol, locate, quantity, you're done. Okay. And you get this response back that says locate, sell back, sent. All right. So that is the end-to-end demo of how you go ahead and implement our APIs. And we've separated them into these buckets to make it a little easier to understand. Last thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and go to my paper account. I'm going to go to, we'll go Apple. Why not? Apple's a nice one to do. And we're going to go ahead and switch over to Iron Butterfly. And we're going to market by an Iron Butterfly around the at the money line. Just like that. We've now bought an Iron Butterfly. It's now in my portfolio. And if I look at the orders history, you can see that the system has recognized it as an Iron Butterfly, and it's grouping the legs right here. So you can see that there's 4 legs in the spread, and we've gone ahead and executed a multi-leg options trade over API. Real quick, last thing I'll do is I'll just show you the deep dive on the ticket. So we retrieved the routes just like we did with equities. We created the order, but this time for the security type, we sent M-leg. Okay, M-leg being multi-leg, and the symbol was Apple, quantity was 1, market, day, smart, and you can see each of my legs below. So under the legs parent in the JSON, symbol for the first leg, second leg, third leg, and fourth leg. And here is the response. And we've executed over API. So that's going to be that. Let's head back over to the PowerPoint for some Q&A.
Appreciate that, Mark. I just wanted you to know, somehow, some way, after all your beep boop pop pop, I did get the nerdy glasses. I found them, so I appreciate you letting me rock out with it. That was great, man. I love how you kind of explain not just what to do, how to do it, but also the behind the scenes. Like Dan said, right? It's important to kind of understand. It's the same thing that's happening behind the scenes whenever I go on TZ1, mobile app, whatever the case is. It's just a different aspect of making it easier and faster. Let me go ahead
and literally, Zainate, I mean, look what happened over the course of the last hour. I mean, we all saw Mark using the APIs build a platform that not only looks beautiful, but is powerful in terms of what it can do. And capturing a lot of the stuff that we do on our front end. So the sky's the limit, right? It goes as far as your imagination goes with building out a product, a platform, and the functionality that you care about.
Yeah. Ease of use and easy to kind of find where everything is were two of my favorite parts here. Let's go through some of the questions. I know, Dan, you had shared this. So for the folks that missed it, if you scroll up, or Dan, if somebody can go ahead and paste this again, or I guess it's just simple, developer@tradezero.com, documentation, examples, all that good stuff is there. Let's see if we can go ahead and answer this question right here. Did you public API fundamentals and all that stuff there, Mark? Any insights there?
Yeah, so we can give a little reply to this. So there's a couple questions here. So in terms of locate required, yes, there is the locates check endpoint to show, or the is easy to borrow check endpoint, which I think is literally called is easy to borrow. And by hitting that endpoint, you'll be sent a true or false. If it's true, it's easy to borrow. If it's false, it is hard to borrow. In terms of short sale restricted, we currently don't provide that over API, but it's a great bit of feedback. We will take that straight over to our API teams. And in terms of shares out, absolutely yes. In the closed positions endpoint, you will find shares out. So that is all available apart from SSR.
Appreciate that. Keeping it moving here. The documentation available for your data model. I don't know if that's what Dan had shared the link to, but what you got on this one?
Yep, so there's a lot of stuff in our documentation. Data model itself, if you're referring to the open API spec, not available just yet, we will be posting that to the developer documentations very soon. That is, I'm pretty sure, what you're referring to. But if you look out for it, in about 1 week, we will have a file hosted in GitHub, which you can then go ahead and download, as well as possibly a starting sort of test project, which has all the APIs implemented, and you can go ahead and sort of get a running start. So, yep.
All right, and a 2-for-1, same individual, talking about rate limits.
Beautiful, yeah. So I don't want to go through rate limits right now. What you can do is jump over to our documentation, go to the documentation tab, scroll down about 3 or 4 pages on the left side of things, and you'll see a page called rate limits. And that will detail the rate limits for every single one of our endpoints. And that includes both single rate and also burst rate. So take a look. The documentation has full details around it. If I do give you any numbers right now, Zainate is going to start beep boop bop popping, and I don't want him to do that. So let's take a look at the documentation. That's how we sound.
See, that's why it's always weird to hear yourself back. I didn't realize that's how it sounded. We've got one more question here. It's so this individual asked another question about, does it work with Claude Code? I believe you showed that you were using Claude Code in the first place. I assume the answer is yes, and they've got this one here as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's just to touch on the Claude Code question. The LLM that you would like to use is 100% completely up to you. I used Cursor because I like Cursor. If you want to use Claude Code, if you want to use Codex, of course we aren't affiliated with any of these companies or these bits of software. But an LLM is an LLM. They are universal. The TradeZero APIs would work with any of them. And you'll be able to use any of them to go ahead and implement your own systems. Can you listen to live option chain prices over the WebSocket? Unfortunately, not right now. We have the we have two WebSockets. We have the P&L WebSocket, which will give you your account values and your P&L values straight to your system. And we also have the Portfolio WebSocket, which focuses more on the actual positions you're holding and also your orders. What you're referring to would be the Market Data API, which we do not currently have available, and it's coming very soon. In the next month or two, we'll be hopefully rolling that out to you guys. And if you look at the change log, you will get updates based on when that comes out. But for the time being, what you saw in my little demo was powered by Data Bento, and they powered both the options chain as well as the chart.
All right, got next one here from Ren. Will the TradeZero API demo application shown at localhost 5173 be provided to trainees as source code or as a downloadable sample project?
We will be absolutely providing downloadable sample projects in the future. Right now, that isn't available on our developer website. We do need to vet everything that we put up, and we're not looking to give you guys random vibe coded platforms. So I'm going to go ahead and get working on that to make sure that we have a GitHub available for you guys. A GitHub link available for you guys, a repo, which will have some sort of demo application, which will include both the recipes and the ability to run those recipes that you can find in the developer API documentation. And we'll also be adding a sample project, which is very similar to what you've seen today, but a little more polished. I'm sure you did see some small little blips here and there, but yeah.
All right.
Mark, for that demo application project that you had the receptacle for all of the API calls and whatnot, what did it take for you to put that together? Like, can you quantify in time or effort or
time,
what?
effort? All right. I was about to tell you I have no idea because Cursor did it all. But in terms of time, that end to end to build the UI side of things, about half an hour. So it was pretty quick, pretty easy. In all honesty, if you take the link to developer.tradezero.com, throw it into Cursor, throw it into Claude Code, it'll figure it out in about 5 minutes. I was a bit particular around what I wanted to do in the demo, which is why it took a little longer. But this stuff is I mean, these days with the LLM landscape we're living in, it's piece of cake. But yeah.
All right, and I think we've got just a couple more here. Is there a broker API spec? Is that in the documentation that we had mentioned earlier?
So right now, the documentation only provides information regarding our trading APIs. Our broker APIs are very much in progress right now in our dev environments, but we haven't yet released them, and we're not looking to release any sort of specs just yet. But in about, so first off, we're working on market data API, and then we're moving on to broker API. So I'm not going to tell you the broker API will be ready in the next month or two. That will take a little longer, but for anyone interested, the broker API will allow you to do things like managing your account and all the things you can do from the portal, but through API instead. So funding, anything that you would log into the portal for, that would be available over the APIs themselves. But that's going to take a little longer. We'll get there for sure.
Cool. And I know you mentioned that there is API available for paper trading. The only thing at the moment is a locates that I know is coming up in the future updates. Any other difference that you want to talk about here?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to, I'll touch on locates just for a second. So even though right now locates, all symbols are easy to borrow, meaning that you cannot locate symbols on paper accounts. In about a week or two, we'll be launching the ability to locate on paper, and of course, it's going to be dummy prices. We'll be giving you a dummy quote just so you can set up the whole workflows. So you can set up the daisy chaining of all the endpoints, so you can make sure that everything's working in collaboration with each other, the endpoints themselves. And so the output of one endpoint can feed directly into the input of another endpoint. And then once you've got that in place, you can switch over to the live API and be able to trade pretty seamlessly and locate seamlessly. That's coming in a couple of weeks. The other difference is regarding the orders endpoint. The history endpoints, which show you the history of your orders. We have the paginated version, and we also have the regular history endpoint. And the paginated version, I don't believe, is working currently with the paper accounts. But more information can be found on that in our developer documentation.
All right, and then one last one. If either you or Dan want to answer it, I'm taking notes. Let me know. I'd love to know.
Take it
I don't know if this is coming in the future updates or what it is, but yeah, just let me know.
That's coming in future updates, way in the future. I mean,
Well, if you log in,
yeah.
If you log into a paper account, you will be given $100 million. So, I mean,
There you go.
in
It's
paper
100
money,
million.
to be
Wow. Okay.
No,
See, I'm
wait,
used
it's a
to
million.
No, I think
dollars.
it's a
Okay.
million. It's a million.
A million, my bad.
See,
It's a
you just
million.
made my portfolio lose 99% value, and I didn't even
I'm
place
sorry.
the
I'm
trade.
sorry.
Well, look, I appreciate it, Mark. I joke about how this is like a topic that you genuinely, since January, since we've been doing these webinars together, have been excited about, and it's clear why. As someone who isn't as familiar with API trading, like Dan said, the UI aspect of it with AI, with Claude, with Cursor, makes me feel like even I can do it. That's a new mantra. So easy, even Zunaid can do it. But Mark, any final thoughts from you? And then Dan, we'll go to you.
No, all good. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you have any questions on any of the APIs, please feel free to reach out to our live chat. All the live chat teams are trained in API trading, and they will be able to answer questions you have. If they aren't able to answer your questions, it will come straight to myself or the API team. You'll reach out. You'll be reaching out to us essentially, and the support representative will make sure you get a reply either over email or over live chat itself. So let us know.
Sweet. Dan?
Great job, Mark. Yeah, and I would just like to call out for anything that any of you guys do wind up building that you want to show off and bring us in on what you've done. We'd love to see it. We will be putting together a sort of app store like vehicle so that folks can upload their projects and share them with others and the like. But that is coming soon. But again, I encourage all of you, whoever wants to build something out of our APIs, we'd love to see what you guys are up to, and and keep us aware.
Awesome. All right. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Mark, Dan, appreciate your time as always. And for the folks that were wondering, yes, we will go ahead and polish up the edits, make sure my boop boop bop bops are taken out of it, and you will get a link to rewatch all of Mark's good stuff. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Later.